Hello, my name's Rob, and welcome to Swift Slots. Now, over the last few months, I've bought a few extra slot cars. Who'd have thought it? Some of those cars you've seen on this channel, but some you haven't. So what I thought I would do is I'd make one video per day for the next 4 days, and I would just document each of these cars briefly. So we'll take them apart on the table, show you inside, pop them on the turntable, and then gently run them around Rickard Valley just so that we can see them in motion. So without further ado, let's get on my table and start these reviews. Okay, we got this fantastic Scalextric Datsun truck. Now, forever, I used to think of this truck as the Fall Guy truck. Being a child of the 80s and the 70s, of course, it isn't actually the Fall Guy truck at all. But this car did come out after the Fall Guys series, or at least while it was playing in the UK. And I have a deep suspicion that Scalextric took a lot of inspiration from that series when they made this truck. It's not the same brand as the Fall Guy truck, and it's not actually the same livery. But you can't help but think, can you? It probably was sort of inspired by that particular series. Anyway, this particular one is 344 Falcon, and the box is in nice condition. Now, I went round to the Slot Car Fest in 2025 for a short time with Dave from the Slot R YouTube channel, and he was looking, or at least vaguely considering, getting one of these for a moment, and I tried to talk him into it, but no, he went in a different direction. So that kind of left the ball open for me, and I did have my eye on one of these trucks, and I have had my eye on one for a very long time, but the right one never really turned up. But this one did turn up on eBay, and it's in fantastic condition for its age. The box is in good condition, and the truck is as well, and there are no missing parts. So I grabbed it while it was there because I didn't pay a huge amount for it. I think it was about £40 to £45, so about $50. And they usually go for quite a bit more than that in this condition. But as you can see, this is in very, very nice condition. So I thought I got myself a bit of a rare bargain for the price that I paid and for the condition of the car. I was very, very happy with this. Now, there are a couple of different types of this truck, and one of the types of this truck has got a sprung rear bumper, and you can still see the witness marks from the tooling to allow for that particular version of this car. Now, this car isn't one of those, because what that was an extra bumper in there, and if you tap the bumper, it would flip an arm and it would roll the truck over on the track. I guess there must have been a crossover on the track as well, so you could sort of get in close enough contact to be able to bump the other car in front, and it would flip over and crash. But this isn't that one, so it kind of makes you think that there's a piece missing, but there isn't. So there are a few different types of this truck, and obviously this is the brown one. And now you can see the Datsun across the back, which wasn't on the Fall Guy truck, and the stripes down the side, they were obviously not on the Fall Guy truck as well. And also, although we've got an eagle on the bonnet, it's actually quite a long way away from the Fall Guy emblem, but I think we all still call it the Fall Guy truck. But one thing that really struck me with this car, being so old, and this is about 84, this one has come out more or less about 1984, is how supple these tyres are. I don't know if that, well, it probably will come through on camera. They're very, very soft. After, what, 40 years? They're still incredibly soft, and the front ones as well. Really nice and squishy and supple. Now, how much grip they've got, well, who knows? But they are very, very supple. And as you can see, we've got a nice S-Can motor in this car. Brilliant condition on this one as well. No rust on it. The whole car is incredibly clean, and I'm very, very pleased to have had this one. I'm not entirely sure if these are original screws because they're all slotted screws. And these two at the front, they're crossheads. So I suspect maybe that these ones have been replaced, but you can still see some witness marks of some other things that probably were in the car for the part of the flipping mechanism as well, probably. Not entirely sure. But this exact car here, as you can see, we've got a fantastic chrome bumper, all intact, no brakes. Got a little bit of indicator detail there, a little bit brown than orange, but it's all there. The door mirrors are all still here on this car, and they look really good. They're really good size for this truck. They're really in keeping with the truck itself. Got some nice door detail there, nicely defined door. There's no shallow sort of moulding. It's all nice and deep and crisp. We even got the little lashing points on the side of the tailgate there, or the bed side there. That's all very nice. And on the back end there, we got a bit of a rudimentary bumper with some extra little bumpers. So that missing little activator bumper there, but that's part of it. And then we've got some rear mud flaps on the back. They're moulded in, part of the chassis. Around the other side is exactly the same as the other side. And then obviously in the bed, we've got a fantastically defined bed with a little bit of reinforcing going over the rear tubs as well. Very, very nice chrome row bar with the spotlights on the top on this particular model. They're not snapped off, so that's very, very nice to see. No detail on the roof. Got some very nicely defined windscreen wipers. If this car was painted in grey and then all the details picked out, those rear view the windscreen wipers would come out really, really well, as would all these louvers and all the other bits of detail. So if you were to repaint these old cars, you can make a really, really nice model out of them if you so inclined. So the interior, it's got a lot of nice deep detail in this interior as well. It's not quite a full detail, but it's pretty well there. So the steering wheel, the only thing that really lets the interior down really is the actual molded in steering wheel. If they'd have sort of not put that in there and just put a separate steering wheel in there, I think that interior, if the man was painted a little bit more, I think it would make quite a reasonable interior. I think possibly maybe if they didn't put a racing driver's head in there, that might have been even better. But you know, this was mid-80s. We were lucky to have anything that looked this good in the 80s as it was. So I guess we should be lucky for what we've got. So let's just whip off this body and I can show you exactly what lurks underneath the chassis. So now we can see the inside of the body, and I can pull the interior out and then show you that interior a little bit closer. So there we are, quite nicely detailed. Full depth seat almost, and almost a full depth floor, but not quite. You can see the driver there, he didn't quite get all the way painted. Kind of spoils it a little tiny bit, and that fairly lackluster steering wheel, but it is what it is. So that's the interior, and then we got a nice thick glass to get a nice bit of weight up top to make it very, very roly-poly. Perfect for the 80s and some dubious handling. And then we got the body here. It's all pretty standard stuff, nothing really to see. And as you noticed, we got the chrome bumper, which is a loose part, and we have the rear bumper, which actually has the mud flaps in it. So it's not really part of the chassis at all. It's actually part of the rear bumper detail. And then we have the chassis itself. Now this particular car, we don't actually have any motor spacers. So this car is actually, or this chassis is literally designed to take an S-can motor from standard. Now a little bit of disclosure here. I have already been into this car and replaced the motor pinion, because as is normal with this age of car, the original pinion split in half, and this car was no exception. It did the usual split, so I've replaced it with a slightly more modern one where we've actually got that extra collar going around, so it makes it a little bit stronger. But we got the original gear there, which is quite a lot bigger than your standard gear. I don't know how many teeth are on that, but that's quite a lot more teeth than normal. And we can see we've got standard plastic bearings. We've got this rather large suppressor in there. I don't quite know why they did that, but that's the way it was. It's got a little charm all of it to itself, I guess. And we got the old usual flippy floppy front axle there, which I'm sure does nothing for handling at all. We got the original wires all nicely soldered in. Really, really clean, this car. Like I said, I was very pleased to find this one. Got some nice chrome wheels there. All the chrome is still in place. Nice condition braids. I wonder if they're actually the original braids, because they don't actually look worn at all. They look like they could even be the original ones. Nice and clean on the underside. And there we are. So there's not an awful lot going on really on this car. One thing I did notice on the rear end, we've got these plastic spacers on the rear screws. Again, I don't actually know if these screws, these flathead screws, are actually original, but maybe they are, maybe they aren't. Maybe you could leave me a message in the comments below and tell me if they are actually standard. But I have actually glued these wheels on as well, because they're a little bit loose on the axles. The way that I do that is I get a pair of pliers and I make 2 marks at the 3 o'clock position and 9 o'clock, and then I turn the pliers around and I make 2 more marks at the 12 o'clock and the 6 o'clock position, just to give it some knurling. I put a spot of glue on the axle and just inside the wheel, and I just push them on, and that gives me a really nice tight lock. Because with the best will in the world, these old wheels, they do relax over time and they can start to spin on the axle. And this old girl, she was made in about 1984, so she needed a bit of a helping hand with that. So that work has been done, so she is now ready and fit to go around the track. So with that said, let's put her back together again and we'll send her around the track. So there we are. That's a short review of one of the slot cars that I've bought recently. So I hope you've enjoyed this sort of content, and if you have, maybe you'll subscribe. And if you could hit the little bell button, that would be awesome. So until the next time, thank you very much.